This is how high-level entrepreneurs get more done in a week than most people do in an entire year. Now, I used to think the harder I worked, the more successful I'd be. So I built my own business from the ground up, but instead of freedom, I found myself stuck, working insane hours, buried under decisions, meetings, and never-ending problems. And it got so bad, I made a drastic decision. I sold my company. I thought stepping away and becoming an investor would finally give me the lifestyle that I wanted, but here's the crazy part. When I sold my business to a Fortune 500 company, I watched them implement systems that made everything run better without me. And that's when I realized it wasn't about working harder. It was about building a system that didn't rely on me at all. That's when I started blueprinting how top performers operate differently. And the result? It's the F.A.S.T blueprint, a 4-step system to reclaim your time, optimize efficiency, and accelerate results. When I applied this system to my own life, I went from being trapped in my business to having complete control over my time while scaling bigger than ever. And in this video, I'm gonna break it all down. The 4-step F.A.S.T system that you can implement today to start working like a high-performance CEO. So let's go. All right, so digging right in this 4-part F.A.S.T blueprint, the F stands for focus. Now, most entrepreneurs don't have a time problem. They have a focus problem. They think that, just hard work, if they work longer, they work harder, they grind more, they'll eventually get ahead. But the truth is, if you don't know where your time is going, if you're not focused, you're flying blind. So they fill their days with work, but never really make any big progress, right? Meetings, emails, random tasks, none of it moves the needle. Now, when I sold my business to Henry Schein, it was the largest medical equipment in the world, I thought they would just take over. They would just run things. But instead, the first thing they had me do was collect 8 data points every single day, and I had to send them to them by 4 p.m. Now, at first, I thought this was ridiculous. Look, it's a complete waste of my time. I'd built this successful company. Why did I need to track all of this and send it to you every day? But here's what I didn't see at the time. This one habit, tracking, measuring, and focusing on the right data was the foundation for massive change. They weren't running on feelings or assumptions or what seemed important. Instead, they made every decision based on data, and that's why they scaled bigger than I ever did on my own. So for the first part, for focus, the action steps or how we apply this is that what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're focusing on the right things. And since you can't optimize what you don't measure, what we want to do first is we need to start tracking our time. Now, I typically ask people to do this for 14 days, a 2-week time study. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to log everything in 30-minute blocks. You can get a piece of paper out and set a timer on your phone. And every 30 minutes when that goes off, just stop and write down what you're doing. And what you're going to try and do after you've collected the data is identify what's high value, what's neutral, and what's wasted time. And then once we have that data, we can take a look at it and we can start to find our productivity leaks. And so we're going to review the log. We're going to see what's eating our time. We're going to find out what the low value tasks are that we can start to cut out, the distractions we can cut out. And then what we want to do is we want to set 3 daily non-negotiables. So we want to find the most high impact actions and then the ones that have to be done daily and then put them in the calendar. That way we have no excuses, no skipping. We schedule them in first before we do anything else. We have to treat them like a CEO meeting. No rescheduling, no skipping, non-negotiables. And this changes everything because the difference between high performers and everyone else is that high performers control their time. They don't just react to whatever comes their way. Now, once I started tracking, I realized how much time I was wasting. And more importantly, I finally saw where my real leverage was. And that's when everything changed. Tracking your time is not just a suggestion. It's the foundation of everything that we're covering in this video. Now, I've made it stupidly simple for you. Instead of guessing, if you want, just go ahead and grab my free time study tool. There's down below. It's just a template that helps you track, analyze, then optimize your time like a high-performance entrepreneur would. Plus, I'll put together a quick training to show you exactly how to use it. So if you want, get it for free. There's a link down below. Go ahead and grab that because once you know what matters, the next step is even bigger, and that is automating everything that you possibly can. That's what we're going to cover next. So once you start tracking your time, you'll quickly realize something, that a huge chunk of your time is completely unnecessary for you to be doing. And so that's step number 2 of the F.A.S.T blueprint, the A, which is automate. So if you repeat it, automate it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Most entrepreneurs are drowning in work they shouldn't even be doing, like scheduling meetings, for example, sending invoices, sorting emails. I mean, if you're doing these things manually, you're literally stealing time from your own success. Now, when I realized I was wasting hours every single week on tasks that a computer could do, an automation could do like in seconds, then I made a simple shift. And I automated as many things as possible. And in just like a couple of weeks, my workload dropped. My efficiency skyrocketed. I had more time to focus on the real growth. So here's the rule. If you do it more than twice a week, it's a candidate for automation. And I use tools like Zapier, for example, to connect workflows. I use QuickBooks to automate invoices. I use Calendly to schedule meetings with emails. Now, yes, I could have my assistant schedule those, and I could have my bookkeeper do those, and all of those things, yes. But why would I give someone else work that could just be automated? So we want to automate those things, and we want to automate 3 things today. Start with that and watch how fast your productivity scales. Now, the truth is, you'll find out, is that you don't need more hours in a day. You just need fewer tasks on your plate. Now, I learned this the hard way. I was still doing things manually, wasting hours every single week, handling stuff that didn't require me. And at first, I thought, automating would take too long. It's too hard to figure that stuff out. It wasn't worth the effort, thinking like a consumer. But the investor in me said that if I invest the time in this, then I'll get it back. So I did the simple exercise. I listed out every task I repeated more than twice a week. And when I saw it all written out, I just had one choice. That was it. I had to learn how to automate this stuff because my time is way too valuable to repeat the same things over and over. And so how do we do that? How do we automate our work? So what we want to do is make a list of all our recurring tasks. Now, if you did the time study from step number 1, focus, then you have this list. Write down everything that you repeat weekly or daily. And again, these are emails, reports, payments, scheduling. Now, by the way, if you didn't grab that time study tool, you can go get it now. There's a link down below. It's the fastest way to see exactly what you should be automating. And then once we have that, we're going to look and we're going to see everything that's happening more than twice a week. All right, those are the things that are the candidate for these automation things. Then we want to find the automation tool for this. So again, for scheduling, for example, use Calendly. Then you don't need any back and forth emails trying to figure out schedules. For business tasks, I use Zapier for almost everything. It connects all types, hundreds or thousands of apps to all types of workflows. For finances, we use QuickBooks. You can use other ones, Xero, something like that. And this automates invoices, automates tracking. It even brings in all your expenses directly from your checking account. And the real actionable takeaway from this is set up 3 automations right now. All right, pick 3 things that you can automate. So auto sending invoices, auto scheduling meetings, right? Auto sorting email responses. You can categorize your Gmail box to do that for you. Now, like I kind of said earlier, most people think that hard work leads to success, but the truth is it's really about leverage. Leverage is getting more output for less input. You don't get ahead by doing more, you get ahead by automating the unnecessary so you can focus on what actually matters. Now, the more I automated, the less I worked and the more my business grew because every system I built wasn't saving me time, it was compounding efficiency over time. But automation can only take you so far. So the next step is handing off everything that doesn't require you. And that's what we're going to cover next. All right. So automation is the game changer, but here's the truth. You can't automate everything. Some tasks still require human input. Now, AI may change that in the future, but as of right now, that's the case. But that doesn't mean they require you, right? That's step number 3 in the FAST blueprint, and the S stands for shift. Now, the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is thinking that they have to do everything themselves. So if you're doing everything in your business, you don't own a business, you own a job. The secret to scaling is simple. You have to delegate everything that doesn't require you. So here's how you know what to delegate. Every time you start a task, ask yourself, could someone else do this 80% as well as me? If the answer is yes, then you should be getting it off of your plate. Now, the best entrepreneurs don't do everything. They focus on their zone of genius and they build a team to handle the rest. So if you're answering customer emails, if you're scheduling meetings, managing, admin tasks, you're holding yourself back. If you want to grow, you have to shift, the S for shift those tasks to other people. If you don't, you're always going to be the bottleneck. And the real flex isn't working more, it's working less, while achieving more. Now, for years, I thought no one could do the things as well as me, so I had to do everything. Again, emails and project management and sales calls, but here's the problem. If you have to do everything, you can only grow as much as you can handle. So for me, I hit the breaking point. I had way too much on my plate. I knew that I had to delegate these tasks, so I started asking myself a simple question. Can someone else do this 80% as well? And again, if the answer was yes, I handed it off. And the result? More time, and actually more growth, because I had other people scaling parts of my business. And finally, I had a business that ran without me micromanaging every single task. So the actions to take here is, if it doesn't require you, it shouldn't be done by you, and you can delegate them out. How do you decide this? Well, again, going back to the time study, you've hopefully made a list of all the tasks. Think about and divide these by what I call technical tasks or creative tasks. I would define technical task as anything that's done more than once. So you can create a system for that and you can pass it off. And then you should continue to shift your time more and more over to the creative side of things, which is where your zone of genius is. All right. The next thing is, when we do hand these off, we want to use a technique called the 10-80-10 management rule. And basically what this means is that you're going to spend the first about 10% of the time to set up the task, to clarify the expectations, to ensure that there's alignment there. Then you'll have somebody else do the 80% of the work. Your team can do that 80% of the work without interfering with them. And then when you get it back, you can spend about 10% of the time to polish it up, to make sure that it meets your standards. This is also a really good tool to use with AI. If you spend 10% of the time up front, it can do about 80% of the work. But when you do this, it ensures high quality work, because you've set it up, aligned it, and you've polished it at the end, but it didn't require you to do everything. And then finally, when you are delegating it, you just want to make sure that you're clearly defining what the objective is. What are we trying to do? What are we doing this for? And also specifically, what does done look like, right? Every task has to have that clear outcome. So ask, like, what does done look like? How do we know this is complete? Make sure that expectations are clear so you don't have to micromanage the process. Because the truth is, your business is only going to scale when you stop being the bottleneck. Delegation isn't just about freeing up time, it's about unlocking the next level of growth. Now, once I shifted tasks to other people, my business finally had room to grow because it wasn't stuck, on me being the bottleneck. Then I could focus on strategy. I could focus on the vision. And then I could think about things that actually mattered in the business. But there's still one last piece to the FAST blueprint, and that is eliminating everything that doesn't move the needle. That's what we cover in the step 4. The T is for trim. So by now, you've focused on the right things, hopefully, right? You've automated what you can. You've shifted a bunch of tasks off of your plate. But there's still one thing holding you back, and that's all the unnecessary noise that's stealing your time, it's stealing your energy, and that's where step number 4 in the FAST blueprint comes in, trim, okay? So the fastest way to double your productivity is to cut out everything that doesn't move the needle. Now, most people aren't overwhelmed because they have too much to do. They're overwhelmed because they're doing too much of the wrong things. So here's how to fix it. Step number 1, audit all your commitments. So again, go back to your time study. Look at that. Notice how we keep going back to that? It all starts there. 2, look at your calendar. What are you, committed to over the next couple days, next couple weeks? Look at your to-do list. What do you have to do there? Now ask yourself, do these things actually drive the results? Or am I just doing it because I've always done it that way? Look at the calls that you have, the meetings that you have. Are those really driving the needle? Are they the highest value things you could work on? That takes us to step number 2. Right off the bat, cut 20% of your tasks right now. Like literally just take 20% and get rid of them. Now you might say, but I need to do all of them. But you don't. And this will force you to prioritize the tasks you have to do. And I guarantee at least 1 in 5 things on your to-do list doesn't need to be done. You have to be ruthless. If it's not getting you closer to your goals, then eliminate it. I once heard the definition of smart and dumb. And you might say that it's relative, right? And the answer is yes, it is. And it was defined, I believe it was Brian Tracy, and he said that smart was anything that took you closer to your goals, and dumb was anything that took you further away from your goals. And so be ruthless with your time. What are the things that get you the closest to your goal? And then finally, step number 3 is just say no more often. Like every yes to something low value is a no to something that probably actually matters, something high value. You've probably heard if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. Now, you don't need more productivity hacks. You don't need more tips and tools. What you need is just fewer distractions. Now, early on, I thought success meant doing more. more meetings, more projects, more opportunities. But the truth, more isn't better. Better is better. Now, I remember looking at my calendar one day and realizing that I was spending less than 20% of my time on high-value work, and the rest, meetings. Meetings that I didn't need to be in, distractions I could have ignored, projects that weren't really moving the needle. And once I started cutting aggressively, then my business actually started to grow faster. Why? Because I was finally focused on what actually mattered. So the action steps here is trim all this fat from your schedule, right? The fewer things that you have to focus on, the more powerful you're going to become. So go back to the time audit right now, right? Look at the past week, assign each task into one of 4 categories. Now, I call this my productivity compass, but the basics of the productivity compass are we have 4 different categories, all right? So write these down. Number 1, high value, and they add energy. So this is the sweet spot. This is where you want to spend most of your time working. So these are tasks that really drive the results. They're super high value, and they add energy. They inspire you. They give you energy to work on. So that once we've put all those tasks into that box, like that's where we really want to focus our best hours, right? We want to put most of our energy there. These are going to be the highest leverage tasks. The second box that you're going to put your stuff into is high value, but drains energy. All right. Now, this stuff also needs to be done. I call this the workhorse zone because these are critical tasks. They're super high value. They probably need to be done by you, but they feel exhausting. All right. So, for example, like meeting with your financial advisor, like that is high value. That probably needs to be done by you. For me, it sort of drains my energy. Now, the action here is because these are high value, they need to be done. What we want to do is if we can automate, do that. But 2, if we could batch these together, that way we can minimize the energy drain. All right, the third category we want to put tasks into is what we call low value, but adds energy. So these are like low value. They don't really move the needle, but they're fun, right? So we enjoy them, but they're not really essential, all right? So the action here is we want to delegate these out because they're not really high value. We really want to limit the amount of time that we spend there. We want to treat these maybe as rewards. We can do some of them just because we like them. And then finally, the fourth category is low value and drains energy. And these should absolutely just be cut out, right? So when you divide these, there's 20%, 25% go into that. And these are tasks, again, that are not valuable at all, and they're not energizing. So we just want to eliminate those immediately. We don't need to automate them. We don't need to delegate them. Just get rid of them. They're pure energy and time sinks, and so just get rid of them. Now, the second major action here is to cut 20% of your to-do list immediately. I said that earlier. Just cut 20%. You have to be ruthless. If it's not a priority, it's a distraction. Now, this is the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your tasks. So you want to focus on those. Now, we started with F, focus, and that's because the world rewards focus. The most successful people, they don't do more, they do less of the right things. They eliminate distractions, protect their time, and they go all in on what actually moves the needle. Now, once I removed the fat from my schedule, my business was able to grow faster and with less effort. Because success isn't about how much you do, it's about how much of the right things that you do. And that's it. That's the FAST blueprint. If you want to start implementing this right now, just go ahead and grab my free time study tool. It's the easiest way to take back control of your schedule, eliminate wasted effort, and scale your results. Plus, I'll put together a free training that can show you exactly how to use it. So just click on the link below, download it now, and let's get to work. The only question left is, are you actually going to implement this? Let me know in the comments down below if you can implement this stuff, and I'd love to hear how it goes for you. As always, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. If you don't, thumbs down, that's okay, but at least tell me why, and that's what I got, all right? To your success. I'm out.